Today is May 7th, 2016. Joining us on the porch are Kyle Osmund and Nicole Ginsburg.
The best place for family. What are you waiting for? Where friendships run deeper. Come join us on the porch. So glad you're on the
porch. Hey kids, you've made it to another exciting episode of On the Porch Radio Hour. Yeah, it's me, Matthew. I'm your host, and I'm here at the beautiful Wooden Apple Farmstead. We've got a really awesome crowd here, and we also have some really awesome guests. It was, I guess it was close to last Halloween, and I had decided that I was going to take myself on a personal adventure. And so I loaded myself and some snacks into the car, threw on some warm clothes, and headed off. And it was after about, I don't know, maybe 7 minutes of driving that I found myself at the perfect destination. I was at this haunted house farm kind of place, and I was inside the haunted house after waiting in line for a while and eating my pretzels and making some small chat with some of the folks in line. I got inside and I was in one of the rooms, and I had nobody to scream with. You know, I didn't go with any friends, so I was just there. And it's kind of hard when you're in a haunted house to scream by yourself. I found that I need folks with me. It's hard to explain, but there was nobody there to share in the fright, if you will. But I allowed myself to feel afraid for a little while. And then all of these weird things started happening, and at first I thought it was part of the haunted house experience, and then I thought maybe there was actually something really weird going on, and then I thought it was part of the experience. So just to be safe, I decided to throw myself on the floor, and I started crawling through the house. And of course, there was fog and, the smoke machines and mirrors and all of these crazy things. And in this very heavily fogged room, there were some lights and there was people yelling, and I couldn't tell if they were yelling because it was part of the show or if it was because something was happening. And I was just looking for the exit, and I found myself face to face with... Okay, bear with me. There was nothing in the air. There was nothing crazy. I mean, there were crazy things happening, but nothing hallucinogenic. I actually came face to face with Luke Skywalker. And so there I am on the floor, face to face with Luke Skywalker. And as my eyes focused, Han Solo, Leia, the whole crew was there in double. And then I thought, whoa, this is weird. But then I realized that as my eyes started to focus more, that I was staring into a pair of the most incredible shoes I'd ever seen in my life. It was a pair of I think they were kind of like Vans, or maybe they were Vans, the slip-on kind. And I think they were black, but they had the Star Wars characters. It was like the original Star Wars poster, almost printed right on to the shoe. And I was like, those are the coolest shoes ever. And attached to those shoes, it just so happens that our musical guest for this evening, Kyle, was attached inside those shoes. And we made a really great introduction. We were able to chat about his shoes for a little bit. And then we were able to find our way out together, where we then decided we would pile back into our own cars, find some random bonfire nearby, and play some music. So that's kind of how we met. And after that evening, after hanging out at some random bonfire that we found by driving through the countryside, we made some neat friends there, and I sent a letter to the folks at Frightmare Farms and let them know about what an incredible experience we had. And sure enough, we decided to reunite, myself with Kyle and Nicole, and kind of share our experiences and let the rest of the world know about the really cool things happening. And that's kind of the short story. Someday, you know, I'd like to have Kyle back on the show, and when he comes back, we'll go into part 2 of this story about the really odd evening that happened when we started singing around somebody's campfire, which we thought was like, man, we should do this again, but not here. That's kind of how that story ended. So we'll get there eventually. But that's enough from me. I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening on Concert Window. Thanks for listening on our website. And you're in for a real treat. I don't usually say that. I don't usually kind of set up our listeners like that. I kind of like to let you make your own decision. But I'm gonna plant the seed right now. You really are in for a treat. So that's enough for me. We'll hear more later. But for now, Kyle, you're on the porch.
You force my hand to push you away. You kiss my feet and beg me to stay. So back your feelings of guilt and remorse. Just admit that we ran our course. I had to pretend when I felt nothing. A passion became two lips just touching. Lost of connection, deprived of love or feeling. I couldn't commit to what I don't believe in. I had to expose the thoughts you should have known. I'll walk this beaten road, far from your ghost. My heart is weak, my wounds are swelling. I let nothing go with constant dwelling. And I had become so bitter and cold. It was the only thing to break the mold. 'Cause I had to pretend when I felt nothing. A passion became two lips just touching. Lost of connection, deprived of love or feeling. I couldn't commit to what I don't believe in. I had to expose the thoughts you should have known. I walk this beaten road, far from your goal. To expose the thoughts you should have known. I walk this beaten road, far from your ghost. Thank you.
Kyle, that was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I usually like to think of myself as pretty up on the music scene.
Yes.
So I have to ask this question that I didn't get a chance to ask you before the show, so I apologize to both of us. Is that an original? Did you write that?
That is an original song, yes.
That's really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was listening to it and I was like, man, I've never heard this before. This has to be an original. But I had to ask. So that's a real nice sound.
Thank you so much.
You bet. When did you write that?
I actually wrote that about a year ago.
Okay.
I kind of got into like a sort of breakup kind of thing, and it was that was kind of the song that was sort of the time you get to sort of reflect on the whole thing. And
yeah.
It got some closure from it. So
good for you.
Yeah.
That's a nice, as far as breakup songs go.
Yeah.
That's got a good feel to it. There's not a lot of like angst or like.
Just wait for the next one.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So, before we get into the Star Wars shoes and
of course,
and how we kind of connected on the music front in the Oswego area.
Yeah.
Tell our guests a little bit about when you started, how you got into performing and writing songs, playing the guitar, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've been singing almost I wouldn't say entire life, but I would say I started in it was like our elementary school started chorus in like 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was in the production of The Jungle Book. I was an eagle, I think.
Yeah,
I think that was the start of my musical endeavors. And so I kind of just did local theater and all that. And then I got into, I think it was around 7th grade. We had this free day in the middle school where we could do whatever we want. And it was like you could do all these different activities. And I did an activity that was like a guitar workshop. And I hadn't played guitar before. And my middle school teacher kind of just showed me some chords, and I just kind of went from there.
Nice.
And then the performing started really through chorus. Then we did a cabaret night. I think that was the first time I ever performed with a guitar in front of people. I did Let It Be by the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was we do, once I got into high school, we do Performance Fridays in chorus, where it's, every once in a blue moon on a Friday, instead of, just regular chorus class, it's they'll let people perform and play their own songs or whatever. And so that was where I kind of started getting a real feel for playing in front of people. And then I met Cameron Caruso, who I'm sure a few of you, and he kind of was the first one to get me to an open mic night.
Okay.
And then through that, I kind of kept doing it. And also through that, after I met Cam, me and a friend of mine, Matt Spalding, we formed a small, like a duo, kind of Simon and Garfunkel kind of band. And we did a Battle of the Bands my freshman year, and we won freshman and sophomore year, and it was really awesome. And then they stopped doing it, unfortunately. But so yeah, I kind of got started through that, and then through Cam, I met John McConnell, and through John McConnell, I've gotten a lot of gigs and opportunities to play as well.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You make some comment about Cam and John, and I think that there's a lot of examples like the two of them, that in the Oswego area, there's a lot of really awesome music mentoring that's happening.
Oh yes, for sure.
And they both also have stories about how they were mentored.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, in the Oswego music scene, there's some really cool things happening, and that's one of them.
Yes.
And having been able to chat with you and to see you performing at the music hall open mic, and to connect with you really there, it's so cool to kind of watch that progression. So anyway, I'm actually leading up to a question here.
Yes.
So Cam and John have been really good influences for you, as far as like getting you performing.
Yeah.
Where do you find your influences in terms of your actual music and your writing? No, I guess that's it. So
like my music taste, really?
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of a variety of, it's a whole bunch of stuff, honestly. I think when I was a kid, I know a lot of people have like parents that are like Sophie Woods is always the coolest person to talk to because she's like, yeah, my parents got me the Stones album when I was like 6, and it's like, oh, that's so awesome. But with my parents, it was more like my dad loved like Kenny Loggins and like I was also listening to like the Top Gun soundtrack and like and then my mom was into Dixie Chicks, so it was like through that you can find some good music like the Dixie Chicks did a cover of Landslide, and through Landslide I was able to find Fleetwood Mac. It's kind of like that kind of thing. Yeah. But I didn't and I kind of just listened to pop music all through elementary school, and then once I got into 8th grade, my uncle Tim Stone, he gave me for my birthday an entire anthology of all the Beatles songs, and that's where I sort of started to get into like more of the songwriting aspect of it. And then at that same time in 8th grade, Ed Sheeran sort of made his way to the mainstream, and then that kind of brought the whole you can play guitar and write songs thing and make it on radio, and it was so cool. And I think all my friends were like, that was what sort of started a whole renaissance for songwriting.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's a cool journey. That's a really neat story. And I think it's also cool that did you say Tim is your uncle?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He's doing well.
It's crazy. I didn't get to really hear him play until I was in middle school, and I was like, oh man, I didn't know he could do that.
Tim can jam.
Yeah.
He can play the bass. That's cool, man. Good for you. So I have to do this because I'm that obnoxious. Mm-hmm. Sometime when you come back for On the Porch, you and I'm already because I am the host. I can do this.
Yes.
You and I are going to work on a cover because I can already hear myself like, listen to her howling up, a little Top Gun-esque. Yeah, man, revving up the engine. I'm so sorry. I did hear everything you said, but there was a moment there where I was like on my motorcycle without my helmet, and I'm like
playing some volleyball and all that.
Dude, yeah, with my buddy Goose. Like I was there. Yeah, good for you, and good for you for watching the movie too.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Thanks for not letting your parents down.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so that's enough reminiscing for me. Where was I? Okay. So I'm going to have you play another song.
Yes.
Is that cool? You kind of like planted the seed a little while ago. Do you have like a story or?
This song was, I finally got to finishing it today because I don't remember who said this quote, but it's like, creative inspiration and everything, like that's great, but I need a deadline. Yeah. And today was the sort of deadline for this. And so it was like I wrote this song on New Year's Eve. Oh, well, technically it was New Year's Day. They kind of lead into each other. But so it was kind of like it was just late, and it was how most New Year's Eve are, and mine was just a bad New Year's Eve. So I kind of just I was very in just a mood where I just wanted to sort of call someone that I probably shouldn't, and it was just kind of like, don't call her. But it was like, oh, but I kind of want to. And my friends were like, Kyle, don't do it. You're an idiot. So I kind of just wrote this song about that feeling of kind of just being on someone's like hook and just like wanting to sort of be with them, but it's like it's not gonna work out. Just keep it to yourself. And this was kind of my like and the song is called Wasted Heart, and the last lyric is my wasted heart will want you just the same. And it's kind of like there was this scene in Love Actually where this character has the signs. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but he's going through these signs, and the last one says like, my wasted heart will love you until you're old or whatever. And right after, because he was kind of just confessing to this girl that he had feelings, and then right after that he says like, no more, like I'm not going to be into this girl anymore. So that was kind of like, the line has always meant like, oh, no more, like this is closure, this is done, like I'm moving on. So this was kind of my inspiration for that. And yeah, so I kind of always had the chord progression and the lyrics down, but I just kind of nailed down for the chorus. I just had a melody until like today, so I was able to put words to it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you're in a really good flow, and I'm going to be, again, that obnoxious guy, and I'm going to interrupt for a second. This cat's got, I don't know what kind of words I can use yet, but you've got guts, my man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is happening right now. Like he just finished the song, and it's debuting.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a big deal. Like this is a big deal. Kyle Osmund is debuting a song on the Porch Radio Hour. I'm pumped. I'm done with my interruption. Take it away. Thanks for being here, Kyle.
All right, thanks.
Fill me up with promises we'll never hold up. I'll call you up when I'm drunk and then regret everything I've said. I don't know what's come over me. I can't control it. If I'm being honest, I just want to forget your name, but it's no use. My wasted heart will want you just the same. Fill my lungs with smoke he tries. I'll hang on to every word that rolls off your tongue. Tempt with your lips, fool with your kiss. Play off the touch of your fingertips. I don't know what's come over me. I can't control it. If I'm being honest, I just want to forget your name, but it's no use. My wasted heart will want you just the same. Oh, my love, with my luck, you'll forget everything when all's said and done.
Well done. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more from you in the second half.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Experts have been unable to pin down a specific time frame that the tree branch was invented, but we know that it was very short after that invention that another invention, very useful, was given to the world. Jammed fingers, pulled muscles, dislocations, broken bones, disabled mechanical parts have all been made functional by splints. Tonight's episode of On the Porch Radio Hour is brought to you by splints. Yes, starting with an adaptation of a tree branch, the splint has and can be made by any rigid material. Immobilization is important when trying to help and encourage the healing of broken things. Why, it was just yesterday that I was speaking with a local phys ed teacher who had an incredible story about how a splint really can be applied to many things. And here he is to share that story with you live. Well, announcer guy, we were in the bottom of the 7th inning, which in recess kickball leagues is the standard last inning. 5th graders were up last and trailing the game to the 6th graders by 2. They had 2 kids on base and 2 outs. Wow. It doesn't get any more exciting than that. You're telling me, champ. So the big kicker gets up and wallops a foul ball into the playground, hitting the retired monkey bars, catching a piece of rust. Our only kickball was done, popped and tore open. But with the miracle of splints, we were able to patch that kickball with a couple of number 2 pencils and some masking tape and finish the ball game. And there it is. A true testimonial from one of the pros. Thanks, coach. And thank you for using splints for all your splintable needs. You're listening to On the Porch Radio Hour. We'll be back in a moment.
Here's what's happening in Central New York. The Oswego Music Hall's season finale with Stuart Fuchs is on Saturday, May 14th at 4:30 p.m. Fuchs will be joined by Sarah Carlisle and local musicians Jim Schaefer, Patrick Sampson, Joanne Sherwood, Brian Francis, Genesee Ted, and John McConnell will also take the stage throughout the evening, with special guest opener Colleen Katow. A dinner buffet is also offered. Visit oswegomusichall.org for more information. Theater du Jour presents 5 women wearing the same dress as part of the Quality Inn and Suites theater series at GS Steamers in Oswego on Friday, May 20th at 6 p.m. Visit dujourcny.com for more information. The Syracuse Food Truck Festival will be held Saturday, May 21st, beginning at 12 noon. Tickets are available at eventbrite.com. Kritz Farms in Cazenovia hosts their Apple Blossom Festival on May 21st from 12 p.m. until 5 p.m. There will be picnic foods available, orchard tours, wagon rides, lawn games, and more, including live music from Old Clay Stone. Visit kritzfarms.com or find Kritz Farms on Facebook for more information. Battle of the Balls Oswego Dodgeball Tournament will be held Saturday, May 21st. Teams of up to 10 people may register and costumes are encouraged. Proceeds will benefit Hands on Oswego community cleanup and city revitalization projects. For more information, visit Create Studios or Friends of Oswego on Facebook. The Adirondack Center for Writing hosts the Black Fly Story Slam at 7 p.m. tonight at the Paddock Club in Watertown. Visit AdirondackCenterForWriting.org for more information or call the Paddock Club at 315-786-6633. Port City Co-op hosts an open-air market tomorrow from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at West 2nd and Bridge Streets in Oswego. Find Port City Co-op on Facebook for more information. The Colette Theater and Conference Center in Pulaski hosts Hotel California, the original Eagles tribute band, on June 4th. The theater is also hosting upcoming screenings of Norm of the North, The Revenant, and The Hateful Eight. To find out about these and other events at the theater or to purchase tickets, visit ColetteTheater.com or call 315-298-0007. Pulaski's Community Yard Sale will be held from May 13th through 15th. Call 315-529-4893 for more information or to get a map of the event. The Baldwinsville Theater Guild's latest production, The Complete History of America, Abridged, runs through May 21st. For more information, visit baldwinsvilletheaterguild.org. Encore Presentations presents The Best of 'Em, a musical review, at 8 p.m. on June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the CNY Arts Center in Fulton. Call 315-726-2669 for more information or to reserve tickets. The CNY Arts Center presents A Midsummer Night's Dream, opening on May 13th and running for 2 weekends. The Arts Center is also currently offering ballroom dancing classes, and offers a monthly writers cafe where writers of all ages can come and share their work in a casual setting. For more information about these, as well as other projects and events at the CNY Arts Center, visit cnyartscenter.com. The Wooden Apple Farmstead is the home of Red Room Sessions, a time for songwriters, musicians, and anyone else who wants to build their musical skill and knowledge to get together. We share songs we are working on, bounce musical ideas off each other, and we usually have time to just play a little music. This is a supportive environment where all levels of songwriting and musical experience are welcome. For more information about Red Room Sessions or other events and projects, visit Wooden Apple Farmstead on Facebook or call 315-591-0711.
So, Nicole, well, I'm going to back up just a little bit.
Sure.
Because I think that we've kind of met. We've at least crossed paths, I think.
Oh, yeah?
At the Palermo's Town Hall.
Yeah?
When you guys were working on starting Frightmare Farms, and you were getting like whatever it's called, like you were getting permission, or yes.
Oh, so you understand? Okay, yeah. No.
Yeah, we were at the
Depends
same
on
meeting.
what time of that year it was. I was very, very, very pregnant with twin boys at the beginning of Frightmare Farm. So, yeah, it depends. But I was like, oh my gosh, we've been there so many times, I don't even know. I feel bad we don't recognize you. But no, it's okay.
That's fine.
It's all right. Yeah. You get it.
So when you were there when Frightmare Farms was being
presented.
Yes. At Town Hall, I was like, this sounds cool. And that was when we first moved here, which was 4 years ago. So that means that you've been able to sustain this, and you're growing, like you're adding some stuff.
We're trying, yeah.
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 This is really cool. So I want you to kind of take everybody back, if you don't mind, and kind of start from like the concept. Like, what was the vision? What was the like the catalyst? What made you want to get started with Frightmare Farms?
Oh my gosh. All right. So I was pulled in by a friend at that time. I tell the same story every time, so I try to keep it as, as common as possible. But basically, like I didn't really tell everybody this, but like I did a lot of theater and dance as a kid, and like I just liked being on stage. And more or less, I was asked, "Do I know anything about marketing?" Well, I happen to have a degree in marketing, so I was like, "Yeah, I know something about marketing. Like, what can I do to help?" I kind of showed up at the first rehearsal and was like, I know a little bit about makeup. I know a little bit about this. I knew a little bit about everything that was kind of needed. And so like there was born a production director. And that's the position that I still hold. And I hold it proudly. I really, really like doing that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it's really interesting story. I was scared to death of my shadow. Like I scream all the time up there. Everybody tries to scare me. I now like it. Back then I didn't. Like I would literally just crunch up, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep for days, and then all of a sudden, I'm at a stop sign and Michael Myers is appearing, and like stuff just gets crazy real fast.
Yeah.
But when that happened, I realized I think I have a really creative mind for some of this stuff, because I'm convincing myself.
Right.
Maybe I can help with convincing some other people of some things. So since then, I've kind of helped give some creative feedback with that. So some of the things that, are there, either I've been able to help that idea start, or other people have said something and then, it's ran with, or whatever. So part of that being this really crazy idea of, oh my God, listen, they're locking people in a room and they're making money doing it. Like, what do you think? Like, you think we can make this work? And of course, the hard part is here in Central New York, it's a great area, but not a lot of people are like, hey, let's lock people in a room, So it took some convincing. It took some, let's try to find one that we can do. And one of our business partners was crazy enough to say, hey, yeah, I can actually meet you in New York City for one escape room, and we're going to try it, because New York City was the only place at the time that really had a saturation of this, that we could do, 7 of them in 36 hours and return home and like go back to work and the normal stuff. So
right.
That's how it happened. And they were equally as as hooked as I was. And so then it was just convincing some other people to, not necessarily convincing, but explaining, okay, so I know it looks like a door, but it needs to like swing like this, and the fireplace needs to do this. And, you know, when you pull up this, it's going to say this, this, and this, instead of walking into a haunted house and it just being a scene. Now there's all these really cool things hidden within there. So then obviously we were able to finally get that open in September of last year, which butted right up into a really cool season called Halloween.
Yeah.
Which limited us on our exposure. A lot of people actually wanted to play the game during Halloween, Friday and Saturday nights.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool. However, there's this really awesome haunted house open as well.
Yeah.
So it created kind of an interesting circumstance. So by the middle of November last year, when we had to close because it was starting to get really cold up there, we decided that we definitely needed another location. So I don't know if you guys know this, but we are now at Shoppingtown Mall in Syracuse as well.
Okay.
But not to fear, we're coming back to Frightmare as soon as possible. We're
right.
just getting our ducks in a row, talking to the town.
Right.
If you want to come out and support us, let us know.
Yeah.
and making sure that they're aware of what our plans are up there, and then hopefully, we keep saying spring. However, it's been a very cold spring.
Yeah.
Getting open as fast as we can, and some really cool new things. So
That's awesome.
thanks.
So you are, and unfortunately, I do my research, but sometimes I don't do it very thoroughly.
It's all right.
So you're actually open like way longer than the actual Halloween season.
For Escape the Estate, yes.
Right.
So for Frightmare Farms, it's open weekends in October. So usually Friday, Saturday nights.
Okay.
There are usually like some pretty cool special events that we do up there. We're currently planning that. You'll see actually a lot of our corpse crew out and about. Like last year they did I think it was Paz over Oswego County.
Yeah.
We did a zombie car wash for them in Cicero. It was in Cicero because we couldn't find another place to help us out with it, but that's okay. It was actually like a really big hit. Like we had one of our large monsters out there. We had a ton of zombies. It just happened to be like 95 degrees out for those 2 days. So they were kind of melting, but they had a blast, and people brought, their families, and we're getting, their kids were sitting in the car getting scared by zombies that were washing the car and stuff. And so we do a lot of cool events like that. Couple of other cool things. The Homeland Security does a drill every couple of years at the Syracuse airport. So they asked for makeup artists. So we brought makeup artists, and we got to help make up like 45 victims in a realistic way to lay out on the Tarvia and actually do a huge simulation of a plane crash. So, I mean, we're trying to, all of this is coming from Oswego County, because that's where Frightmare Farms is. And so it's spreading, and people are learning about it, and then they're following us, which is great, because we want people to know what we're doing, and we want to help in any way that we can. And we love Halloween 365. I think everybody else can deserve some as well, so
yeah, man, that's cool.
Thanks.
And so then at Shoppingtown, you're open year round?
Yes.
Right.
Yep. So that was the plan, is to try to find ourselves a home to see if it's going to work, opening year round. And of course, it's a lot different because the draw now is people just learning about it. There, it's not a creepy mansion that you're going into tour. There, it's a old hotel that it has a very elaborate backstory that it to try to set the mood. And you're walking into a mall that's got a shoe sale 3 doors down that you got to tell people, all right, you're in a hotel, and you're in the hotel in the 1920s, and it's Prohibition style, and there could be gangsters, there could be other, illicit activity. Just be ready for it. And, it's interesting to watch people actually immerse themselves in the experience and actually, it takes a couple minutes because, again, you're in a mall. You were just in a mall, and you're in an old pet store, to be exact. And then, through, the voices and the puzzles and the atmosphere, you start watching people really immerse themselves in it, and they're talking about pieces of the story, and oh no, this one said this one, and they start communicating and reminding each other of where they are. And then by the middle of the game, they are like all ready to go, and they're they're in the story, and they're living it, and they're trying to beat the puzzles and the games and the clock.
Right.
So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
That's
Have you had a chance
exciting.
to come out and play it yet?
Have not.
That's okay. I won't judge you. There's still a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was just going to ask, because I have young kids, but I also have teenage kids. and it would be really cool to like bring them out and, you know, to bring the teenagers out and do the whole.
Well, how
do the whole
young are
thing.
your kids?
The young, let me see, it's 5, 9, and 13 and 15.
Okay, so the youngest, so we usually suggest 11. However,
Mm-hmm.
and that's mostly because of the mature content. Like, I mean, it's prohibition. So there's,
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
there's references to alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
There's, you know, certain other things that are used to set the mood of the 1920s.
Sure.
Obviously, it's not cigar smoke or cigarette smoke or anything like that. But there are things that are alluded to. But it is history.
Right.
So we have had people, you know, call and say, hey, I want to bring my 5-year-old. And I, you know, let them know this is what you're up against. And they've gone and they've had just as good a time as if they were with, you know, a 50-year-old.
Right.
It all depends on what your family dynamic is and how you usually function together, I'm assuming. You know, if
Yeah.
everybody's annoyed by a 5-year-old, you probably shouldn't put them into a high-stress situation
Right.
with that poor 5-year-old that's like, I just want to play, you know.
Yeah.
But they might be, the little people might help. You never know.
Yeah, that could be really cool.
Yeah, you
I
never
think
know.
they would love it. Yeah, we should
Well,
totally
up to
do this.
10. Up to 10. So bring 10 of your friends and
All
come and
right.
try it out.
Totally. Yeah. I like this is cool. So this is a little more self-serving, and I always go way over my time. But I am I've been running and working on ropes courses for a long time, like I don't know, 18 years or 20 years or something. And I'm totally into the like team building, problem solving kind of stuff. And I'm wondering if you, because it sounds to me like, especially this, you know, it's the Escape from the Estate, right?
Escape the Estate. Yep.
Escape the Estate. That like that would be really cool to like bring your corporate group out, bring your business.
Actually, that's one of the major things that we're starting to see now is a lot of companies want to come out in this team building experience, and it's the perfect model for it. The number
Yeah.
one thing is that even when a group goes in, because it's very likely that, you know, if you only got a group of 4 people, you could be matched up with another 6 people, and you're not going to know them, and you're probably not going to talk to them after you're at the game. However, it is in your best interest to somewhat make small talk, make friends with them, in order for you to succeed,
Yeah.
have a good time, you know, all the things that go with it. So it's with a corporate team, they all know each other. They're all going in guns blazing. They know who their alpha is. They know, you know, they know the strengths and weaknesses, but it brings out different sides of people too. You
Yeah.
all of a sudden see, you know, Mary that's always, you know, quietly typing with her earbuds in, all of a sudden is like totally on her game. She knows exactly what's up. She's got everything covered, you know. So
Yeah.
it appeals to a wide range of audiences, and we're definitely finding that more and more.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It
That's
really is.
exciting.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely coming to check it out. I think it's such a cool business model, and I think it's so cool that that these things are happening locally, you know, and to be in Oswego County and to be as close as like we are, you know, like you're almost right. I mean, you're a little more in the southern part of Oswego County, but you're really accessible by the whole. I mean, all of Central New York.
Well,
but,
right. And that was the thing is that, you know, Frightmare Farms is a great location. It wasn't picked there for any, well, I mean, I shouldn't say any other reason, but it was ideal. Like it made sense at the time, and it still does. I mean, you're right. You can get there from 81. You can get there for 481. It's very easy. It's a couple of turns at most.
Right.
And, you know, people can get there. And that was one of the cool things is that we definitely wanted to bring Escape there because we knew people would travel. We weren't really worried about that. It's a destination, and Palermo should be a destination. You know,
Right.
It's got a lot of great features as well as accessibility, and it's not that far away.
That's right.
And so we learned that with the haunted house, and then bringing an escape room into it. That I don't know if you know this but we opened the concept. We had a couple of individuals come up. We started marketing. Very little, and then all of a sudden we were all getting notifications on our phone that a day is sold out, a day is sold out, and it just like kept coming, and we're like, oh my gosh, tickets are selling super fast. Like I didn't ever expect this, and we were like completely sold out just in a couple of days. And then people were like, you got to open more, you've got to do more, and short of everybody working ridiculous crazy hours to accommodate requests, we finally said in the middle of November, it's just too cold. Even like the locks are starting not to work, you know.
Right.
So we will be opening again soon. We're hoping for some, you know, sort of reception like that, but we'll see. You know, there's only time can tell, because, you know, at Shopping Town, we were somewhat anticipating that same type of feel, but people didn't know what it was.
Right.
And it was amazing to me that it's only a county over and you're less than 20 miles away.
Yep.
How do you not understand the same concept? And it's been interesting. It's a whole different world. So
It is.
So 2 different demographics for sure.
Yeah. Good for you, though.
Thanks.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Nicole,
Of
for
course,
being
thanks
on
for
the
having
show.
me, guys.
Yeah. Oh.
Pleasure.
You can't go. You have to. I've kind of started using this term probably way too much, but you got to give us the skinny. Like, tell us like where people can find you, how they can contact you.
I can tell you that. Yeah.
Hit
All
us
right,
with it.
So we've got a Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got Twitter, and all of those are Escape the Estate all together.
Okay.
www.escapetheestate.com is the best way to find the most information. It has information about both locations. It also has ticket information, frequently asked questions, and you can book right on the website. The thing about this is it is reservations only.
Okay.
So you do have to pre-book. If you show up, we're going to be totally brokenhearted that we're not going to be able to let you in, because there's going to be some other cool people coming to play later,
Right.
and we don't have a spot. So we would really appreciate it if you go ahead and check that out. You can reach us by email, Facebook, telephone, you know, if you've got really crazy, unique questions. Otherwise, most of them are on our website.
Okay. That's great.
How did I
Thank
do?
you. That was fantastic.
Perfect.
All of it. All of it was fantastic.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what anyway, we'll talk off air. I just had a really interesting idea. So
All right.
Yeah.
I love
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. All right. All right. So anyway, thank you, Nicole, and Escape the Estate and Frightmare Farms, right? For taking time to be here and to be doing the things that you're doing in the community. Very cool. So I'll be looking forward to that. Normally, this is the point at which we have... never mind, I'm not quite there yet. I'm going to bring Kyle back up and have Kyle give us another song.
All right. So I decided that I was going to do 2 original songs and 1 cover. And actually, earlier, I think in February, the senior class had a student pass away. And me and a friend were, we weren't completely close to him, but we were pretty upset about it. And, we wanted to do something for him. So a few weeks ago, we put up this tribute video. And we did a performance of Blackbird with a slideshow. So, yeah, I just thought I would do this song just because it kind of has a whole different meaning to me now. So this is Blackbird. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night.
birds singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive.
Thank you.
Kyle, thank you so much for sharing that. It's been really great to have you on the show. I'd like to welcome on the Porch Radio Hour music director extraordinaire, Gina Holsapple.
She drank on the day he was laid in the ground, and she drank every time that she heard the sound of his name. She became a pile of ash, and how do you come back from that? So she called on a red bird flying above. She called on its fire, called for its love, just a spark, a whisper of smoke, just a flame, a chance it'll sing out her own name. She called on a red bird. His love floats away, and it wasn't the plan, though he never was happy. He finds he can't stand all the nights now alone, this broken down home. And how do you come back from that? So he calls on a red bird flying above. He calls on its fire, calls for its love, just a spark, a whisper of smoke, just a flame, a chance it'll sing out his own name. He calls on a red bird. I have carried the fire, I have carried the flame, I have carried the whisper of everyone's name. I've been burnt down to nothing, a pile of ash, but I know I can come back from that, 'cause I have called on a red bird flying above. I've called on its fire, called for its love, just a spark, a whisper of smoke, just a flame, a chance it'll sing out my own name. We are the red bird flying above. We are its fire, we are its love, we are truth, we are whispers of hope, we are flame, we are waiting to sing out our own name. We call on the red bird. We are the red bird. We call on a red bird.
We interrupt this broadcast for a special announcement. This fall, Matthew Wood is joining Gina Holsapple on an across-the-nation musical tour. Typically, they've gone out west and they've performed in places like New Mexico, Kansas, California, and they'll be taking that trip out west again through Cleveland, Chicago, all the big cities. But this year, Matthew is also tacking on a storytelling tour. So Matthew will be traveling across the country, touring on a musical tour with national award-winning singer-songwriter Gina Holsapple, and he'll also be performing stories. So here on the Porch Radio Hour, we'd like to give our listeners a challenge. Go through the archives. Remember your favorite stories. Send us messages. Give us phone calls. Let us know what stories you'd like to see Matthew telling across the country. And we will be recording those stories at the venues as he's crossing the nation. Any ideas that you may have about a story that you'd like to hear? Anything that you'd like to hear him tell a story about that he has not? Any suggestions, ideas that you may have will all be put into the lottery. If your ideas and stories are chosen, not only will those stories be told and recorded, but you, fine listener, will be rewarded yourself with a vintage Tonka Hogan High School t-shirt with the mascot, the cat salmon, on the front. Start thinking about those stories. Start bringing up those ideas. Send them in to Matthew. And show your Tonka Hogan pride. Thank you. It was July 17th, 1948, when the quartet, the Fairfield Four, were on a musical tour. An incredible a cappella group that started in the 1920s. They were constantly changing out their performers, but constantly performing big and giving great quartet a cappella gospel music. And as has happened throughout the timeline in the history of Tonka Hogan, musicians tend to use Tonka Hogan's roads as a drive-through. You know, you've heard about flyover states in the Midwest. Tonka Hogan was still is kind of a drive-through town. And it just so happens that it's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. As famous people and musicians travel through Tonka Hogan, there's always car trouble. They always break down. So the Fairfield Four were on their way through, and they broke down. So naturally, they had to be put up at the local bed and breakfast. Luckily, there was only 4 of them and their manager. They didn't have a lot of sound equipment as they were an a cappella group. So as they were hanging out one morning, being in the summer, it was warm out and they had the windows open, and they were practicing, rehearsing, just hanging out, and you could hear the sounds of "Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride" in perfect 4-part harmony. And there were people gathered around the porch of the bed and breakfast listening. Well, there was a crew of young men, and this crew was trying to be something that they really weren't. They felt like their territory in Tonka Hogan was being trampled, maybe. Their territory was being invaded by this group. Now, these young men, their story was a little different. They grew up in Tonka Hogan. They traveled around. They were really nice fellas, but they tried to be bad. So they all drove, of course, Indian motorcycles, had their leather coats. And one night they decided that they were going to come up with their own gang name. So as they were all throwing around these ideas, one of the young men said, "You know, if we're gonna be a gang, I mean, we're really not gonna do gang-like things, but we're gonna call ourselves a gang. So maybe we should give ourselves the name the Chain Gang." And the other guys then started throwing things at that young man because chain gangs were in prison. And although prison folk can be seen as tough guys, it's not really the image they wanted to carry. And then one of them said, "Well, you know, we are French Indians, so maybe we should be red something. You know, the stereotypical red-skinned Indian." And, you know, that was a little offensive. But at the time, they thought maybe they'd go with it. So they decided they'd combine the two names since nobody else could come up with any ideas, and they started calling themselves the Red Chains. So the Red Chains decided they were going to hang out. And their turf in Tonkahogen was on the corner, as it should be. And their corner was just outside of the General Edward Braddock French Indian Liberation Memorial Library. That library was state-funded beauty. It had countless books about, well, nobody really knew, especially the guys in the Red Chains. Not a lot of folks went to the library, especially because they didn't like the name, since General Edward Braddock was a British general, and they didn't really like the idea of French Indians being liberated by the British when it was the British that won the French Indian War. And it was, it was just a big deal. And of course, in such a library, you find a very large history section that had many books written by the British side at the time about the French Indian War. But anyway, these guys really liked hanging out in front of the library. The library and the bed and breakfast are very close. So these young men decided they were going to challenge the Fairfield Four to a duel of sense. It was kind of like a turf war. But how do you do that? With a bunch of, well, older gentlemen. Well, you go right to the source and you challenge them to a sing-off. Now, the Red Chains didn't really listen to anything except for rockabilly, so there was a lot of Carl Perkins in their vinyl collections. They decided that they were going to challenge the Fairfield Four. So they brought them out. They called them out. Now, the Fairfield Four were not new to this concept. So the Fairfield Four kind of broke it down for the Red Chains, and they said, this is how we do a turf battle like you're talking about. So they gave them the history of turf wars in their origination, which started with one gang on their street corner with another gang on the other street corner, singing and dancing across the street, projecting at each other, and whoever wins, whoever's better, gains the turf. So the Red Chains drove their Indians down to the corner. The Fairfield Four came out with their bow ties and their black coats. So both sides were presented in black. One side was more satin and the other side was more leather. And the Fairfield Four started with their Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. But then the Chains countered with an incredible version of Blue Suede Shoes that they gave in a cappella harmony, but more to the tune of Swing Down, Sweet Chariot. And of course, that's when people really started gathering at the corner. Now, these gentlemen in the Chains weren't nearly as versed. They didn't have anywhere near the library of songs Fairfield Four had. So if we're going to say there was a winner after this 20-minute sing-off, unfortunately, we're going to have to give it to the Fairfield Four. Mostly, as the story goes, because of their stamina. You can't sing Blue Suede Shoes over and over again and expect to win a sing-off for your turf. Luckily, it wasn't just another day or two before all of their cars were ready to go and the Fairfield Four took off, therefore leaving their turf back in the hands of the Red Chains, who didn't really manage their turf after that. Not that they managed it before. They ended up just hanging out outside the barber shop and the pharmacy anyway. The barber shop because they had to keep their really cool slick dues in perfect condition, and the pharmacy because they served really awesome milkshakes and had penny candy. You really can't just ride up on a motorcycle and order penny candy, so they had their little brothers go in and paper bag it out to them. But they did it. And every once in a while, maybe they would go over without their leather coats, kind of incognito, and they would sit on the porch of the bed and breakfast and very quietly do their own a cappella version of Swing Down Sweet Chariot and then transition into Blue Suede Shoes. And they'd all wink at each other and nod their heads and pull out their switchblades for a minute before they tucked them back into their pockets and act real tough before they started singing in 4-part harmony again. But it wasn't until the Fairfield Four were on their way back through Tonkahogen to get back to their normal routine. They had some other shows, and on their way back through, they didn't have to go through Tonkahogen, but they did. And the Fairfield Four did a little bit of their own research. And luckily, the General Edward Braddock French Indian Liberation Memorial Library had a pretty good local section too. And so they laid out all of the local history of Tonkahogen, how it was formed, how the cat salmon ate the giant swan, how they built their town on this lake, on tradition, on the idea that you can be lost, that you don't have to have a home, you don't have to have a place to rest your head to be part of something. So, when the Fairfield Four came back through, they had been working on their own version of Tonkahogen's hometown song. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to step out of my story for a minute and give you a side note and let you know that I am not at any kind of level as any single member of the Fairfield Four. Also, just in case you weren't sure, cannot sing 4-part harmony by myself. I will not be able to do justice to what happened on that day. My hope is that I can only give you suggestion. I can only give you a mere taste of what may have happened that day when the Fairfield Four showed up on the porch of the bed and breakfast. Made sure that they had some of the younger brothers from the pharmacy run down some penny candy to their older brothers and entice them back so that they could be part of this incredible, incredible moment. The Fairfield Four all gathered around the steps in their black and whites, their bow ties, perfectly clean and pressed. And they all put their hands in the middle. And they looked out into that dusty street. One of the members turned around and just glanced at their reflection, just for a moment. And in that moment, there was captured one of the most beautiful photographs ever taken. And it sits in the local section, in a frame. 3 of the members all staring out as if there really were sweet chariots coming down, black wagons, if you can envision flying horses, landing into the streets of Tonkahogen, ready to take these 4 beautiful voices to the heights that they really deserve to be. 3 of those gentlemen staring out, seeing this event happening, even though maybe it really was not. Maybe it was to them. Nobody really was sure. But that fourth gentleman in the middle, second from the right as you're facing them, glancing over his shoulder, looking into the window at his own reflection captured in that photograph. And nobody knows. They never were able to find that young man and talk to him again. But there. Was he winking? Was there a glare coming off of the window that made him shut his eye? If he was he winking at himself? Was he winking at the photographer? Was he winking at the chariots? Was he acknowledging somebody on the other side of the window? Nobody really knows for sure, but the beauty, the moment captured in that black and white still, lives on in infamy. And it's like holding a shell to your ear and hearing the ocean. You can watch from a far-off corner in that library as people read the caption on the wall underneath that frame that explains the story. And are they leaning in? Are they leaning in to see if they can catch the wink? Are they standing at that certain angle so maybe they can feel like just for a moment that man is winking at them? Most often, though, you'll hear, like the shell to that ear, the story is that folks find themselves subconsciously leaning in because they want to hear. They want to hear the soft, sweet sounds. This is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. And should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you've made it to the end of another episode of On the Porch Radio Hour. And once again, with all of the love I can muster, I want to thank everybody for listening on Concert Window. I want to thank everybody for being in-house at the Wooden Apple Farmstead. It's always so cool to have a live audience. I want to thank everybody that logs in. They go to the internet and they find themselves at www.ontheporch.weebly.com. And they find themselves subconsciously bringing that arrow, the little pointer finger, to the watch and listen tab. And when you right click, left click, what do? I don't even know. You just click on that watch and listen tab and that little finger pokes. And now you've got more than 50 episodes archived at your fingertips or your cursor's fingertip. But either way, I'm so glad that you're listening. I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm super glad that you're going to tune in next week. And no, you won't be tuning in next week because I have things going on. However, you will join us on May 26th with folks from Encore Presentations. But wait, there's more. On June 9th, we will be recording live from the Hall Newman Center at SUNY Oswego. Some of our upcoming guests are Natalie Teresi, Linda Taggart, Michael Wynn, Olivia Flint, Denise Knight, and Julie Fisher, and all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for all your support. And like we were talking about earlier, it's totally up to the local folks that are listening, even not the local folks that are listening. We had confirmation that we have some folks in London listening. Just want to throw that out there. Thanks, folks in London. Anyway, thanks for listening to On the Porch Radio Hour. We'll see you next time. And until then, peace to your journey.
On the Porch is a production of the Wooden Apple Farmstead with host and writer Matthew Wood. Our musical director is Gina Holsapple. Our stage manager is Ray Monet. Tonight's sound technicians are Gina Holsapple and Matthew Wood. This week's show is recorded live from the Wooden Apple Farmstead in Palermo, New York. This week's guests are musician Kyle Osmund and from Escape the Estate and Frightmare Farms, Nicole Ginsburg. Find information about past shows, being on the porch, and much more online at ontheporch.weebly.com.
Everybody's gonna have blisters from clapping. And let me make sure we stopped. Yeah, right? Oh, I figured it out.
Oh, good. I thought we were gonna have to have Lily come out.
And take 2.
Okay. There it is.
And that, as we say in the biz, is a wrap.
It's something.